The distance between 2 points x1, y1, and x2, y2 can be found using the distance formula. D equals the square root of x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. Let's look at an example. Suppose you're given 2 points, -2, 1, over 2, up 1, and 1, 5, over 1, up 5. And they want you to find out how far apart they are. So you want to find this distance. The distance formula will allow you to do that. You could assign this point to be x1, y1, and this point to be x2, y2. And plug these values into the distance formula. So distance equals x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is -2, quantity squared, plus y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is 1, quantity squared. And simplify. 1 minus -2, change subtraction to adding the opposite, and then follow your rules of addition. 1 plus 2 is 3. So 3 squared plus 5 minus 1 is 4. 3 squared plus 4 squared. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9, plus 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16, is equal to 25, and the square root of 25 is 5 units. So the distance between these 2 points is 5 units. So the distance formula always works to find the distance between 2 points. Now another method also works, and that method is by using the Pythagorean theorem. And that method is to create a right triangle and use the Pythagorean theorem to find this side, the hypotenuse of the right triangle. So if you create a right triangle, you just draw a line that represents the horizontal difference between the 2 points, and then you draw a line to represent the vertical difference between the 2 points, and that forms your right triangle. So notice the distance between the vertical distance between these 2 points is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And the horizontal difference between these 2 points is 1, 2, 3 units. So we now have a right triangle with side lengths 3 and 4. So we can plug that into the Pythagorean theorem to find C. And the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So to find C, you take the square root of a squared plus b squared. So we can let this side be A and this side be B, and it doesn't matter which side you choose to be side A and which you choose to be side B, as long as you get C right. That has to be correct. That's the side opposite the right angle. So we'll plug in our values here. A squared is 9 plus b squared is 16, and that equals C. 9 and 16 is radical 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. And you see how similar this Pythagorean theorem is to the distance formula we just used. That's because the distance formula comes from the Pythagorean theorem. In the distance formula, it's actually the same as the Pythagorean theorem. You're just not creating this triangle. But that's another way to find the distance between 2 points, to draw a triangle, and instead of plugging in values for the coordinates of the points, you just look at the side lengths of the triangle that you drew. Here's another problem. Find the distance between 2, -3, and -1, -2. So we're going to use the distance formula. So let's assign values to these points. Let's call this one x1, y1. So this is point 1. And this will be point 2, which has coordinates x2, y2. And we're just going to plug these corresponding values into the distance formula. x2 is -1 minus x1, which is 2, quantity squared, plus y2, which is -2, minus y1, which is -3, quantity squared. So we'll simplify. -1 minus 2. When you subtract, you change subtraction to adding the opposite and then follow your rules of addition. So -1 plus -2 will be -3, quantity squared, plus -2 minus -3, change subtraction to adding the opposite. So -2 plus 3 is 1 squared. So -3 squared is 9. -3 times -3 is 9. Plus 1 squared is 1. So that equals the square root of 10. So the distance between 2, -3 and -1, -2 is radical 10. And if the problem says give the exact answer, that means leave it in radical form, because it means don't put this in your calculator and find the value and then round it. If they want the exact answer, you have to leave it in radical form.